All right, let's get down to business. It's been a while. Life has happened. I'm telling you, something good is about to happen. You just don't understand. You just have to let the world marinate, let it marinate. We are doing a first taste today. I don't know if I'm going to be doing the next Merlin video until my last Merlin video gets 1,000 views, like the first one that I did. If you want to see more of Merlin, you have to go to my last video of it. Season 1, episode 2, Valiant, was a very funny episode, but the next one's even funnier. So if you really want me to talk about it, you gotta boost that video up. We are also about 200 subscribers away from actually getting monetized up in here. Boy, tell your friends, tell your mama, don't tell your daddy because I don't want to see him. Tell your daughters, tell your sons, tell everybody. Tell your grandma, tell your grandpa. Don't tell your grandpa, he stink. But okay, no. What we're gonna do is we're gonna watch Breaking Bad, because I'm so sick of people saying that Skylar is the worst person. And so far as I make my way through the first season, it is just misogyny. I'm letting you know that, like, there's another woman in the cast that I've never heard of that I'm like, you'd think that Skylar was this girl. She is unbearable. Can't tell this girl nothing. And I'll let you know who this girl is, but it's not Skylar. And she's also, guess what? She's pregnant. In the first episode. Yeah, that's right. So you guys are hating on a pregnant woman. Very funny, very interesting. If I were her, I would have exercised my right to pro-choice at the time, considering there was actually pro-choice still in existence when this show came out. But without further ado, we're going to do Season 1, Episode 1, the pilot, which is very, very funny because, like I said, when I did Sleepy Hollow's first taste, if you guys want to see my opinion about any other first taste I've ever done, link will be in the description to my first taste videos. Today we're doing Breaking Bad, which stars the father of Malcolm in the Middle and a guy that looks very similar to what could possibly be that dude who played Malcolm in the Middle, but he's not. He's just very, very funny. He's hilarious. And the father's hilarious too. And if you really want to see Breaking Bad, it is on Netflix. I don't know how long it's going to be there. If you don't have Netflix, you have to buy it because supposedly it's so good. So far, it's a good show, but it's like, this guy is not a good person. I don't know why y'all are making excuses for him every second and then being mean to Skylar when she's literally pregnant. Like, the context, I had no idea she was pregnant, and you guys are literally like saying very horrible things about her. So I'm going to go and let you know what Breaking Bad is basically about. Long story short. And then we're going to get into Season 1, Episode 1, okay? So Breaking Bad is about this father who is very self-centered. He has a son who I believe has cerebral palsy. If you don't know what that is, I suggest you look it up. I haven't seen everything to know, but based on what they've been saying, that's the gist. And he's also expecting a daughter. Spoiler. This is a spoiler review thing. All first tastes are spoiler of the first episode and episodes to let you guys know what's going on so that you can get into the story. And he's very self-centered. I can't really tell everything or else it kind of like sets it off. But that basically gives you the gist. So we're going to start Season 1, Episode 1, the pilot. And it kind of starts at the later end of what's going on. So the main character is Walter White, and he is a teacher. He is a chemist, so perfect person to be cooking meth. He is in a camper riding down the street in his underwear, and he's got a mask on with his partner that looks like Marty McFly, and then there's two bodies on the floor, and it looks like they're in the middle of the desert being chased by somebody. And we don't know what's going on. We just know that. He puts it into a ditch. He's sitting there crying. We don't know what's going on at this point. We don't. It's kind of like starting at the end. And I thought this was the end of the series that it started at. It does not start at the end of the series. This is literally like it'll let you know in a second how long it's been, but still. And so he does the first mistake that I see him do, which is out of order. So it's not the first mistake, but it's the first mistake that we see him do. We know he clearly has broken the law. And he opens up a camera which I'm telling you, I'm going to be doing this a lot, mind you, because I've heard people drag Skylar so much that actually watching the show instead of listening to people talk about the show, instead of seeing that Skylar's like the number one most hated character when there are rapists, there are pedophiles, there are murderers, there are people who cook meth and sell it to innocent people who are not on meth. There are people who literally eat people. But for some reason, Skylar is the one who made the top person who was the most hated character in all of TV history. When, like I said, there are literal racists. There are literal homophobic people who did not make the cut. Like I said, I don't know if she's Republican. I don't know if she's conservative. I just see a woman who is pregnant, who is trying to have a successful pregnancy. She wants this daughter. But let's just say this is what Walt does. He takes out a freaking flipping camera and starts talking about, this is not an admission of guilt. Like, bro, what is it then? What is it then? And he's literally saying his whole entire address on it there. And he's like, oh, I'm just talking to my family. I'm not talking to the police. And then he's sitting there crying, and we're supposed to like feel bad for him. Like, I don't feel bad for him. And then he's talking about, oh, Skylar, you're the love of my life. No, she's not. Because every 2 seconds we see you looking at a girl. But he's going to talk about you're the love of my life. And we're supposed to be like, oh, we're supposed to drop a tear for that. Like, she doesn't know that. And then he's talking about Walter Jr., I love you. Like, what? You're only there for obligation. You were literally only there for obligation. Literally. He's sitting there crying. I do not feel sorry for this humbum scum. Like, I cannot wait to tell you what he does and how he does it. So we don't know what he's going to do. He literally dropped his address on that freaking camera. He dropped every single name of every person in his life. And when you realize what he's done, and he's doing that, and he's got a gun, he's taking a gun from the back of his underwear between his sweaty, hairy butt crack and goes in the middle of the road with shoes on and socks on and underwear and a shirt. And he puts the gun straight ahead, and he's sitting there waiting for the police because we hear sirens in the background. And that's how Breaking Bad starts. The intro kind of looks like the periodic table. That's very cool. It's green. We basically get that was 3 weeks later from where the story actually starts. So now we're right where it really starts. Skylar is asleep, and Walter White is sitting there chilling, McGrilling, with his armpits up in the air like anyone wants to see that. And this is where we get freaking Walter feeling sorry for himself, even though he's looking at all his awards and all his stuff, and he's got a wife and literally everything. He's got everything everyone always begs for when they don't have something in their life. He is the most ungrateful person I've ever seen in my life. And so it's his birthday, and I'm going to just call it a midlife crisis because this is what happens. So the worst character of all time in the world, Skylar, actually kisses Walter and says happy birthday, gives him a plate full of eggs and bacon. Sounds like the worst wife I've ever heard. It's like she needs to get in the kitchen. Oh, wait, she was already in the kitchen. So what the is y'all's problem? We are 5 minutes in, and this girl has literally done nothing. And y'all made it seem like she was killing people. Like, what? Honestly. And she is wholeheartedly pregnant right now. Your guys are going to be like, oh, well, she gave him veggie and that's just what Satan would do. Like, your mom. You're wholeheartedly, I'm saying your mom and your dad. Both of you, okay? So Walter is like 50, 60, 70. I don't know how old. He's like older than 40. So he needs to not have that much cholesterol. She's trying to keep this man in her life long enough to where this child will actually have a father, even though I personally feel like it is irresponsible for men to be like 90 years old and be having kids. Like, it's just not something that I feel like is a moral thing to do. But alas, he got her pregnant. He couldn't keep it in his pants, and he decided, let me get this girl pregnant and then start going crazy and not caring about my family. But he's sitting here trying to figure out what life is, what he's eating this bacon. This whole family literally like flames each other. And this is where we meet Walter Jr. Walter Jr. has cerebral palsy and he walks around with crutches. And he is a smart aleck, and I don't mind that. And the worst thing that Skylar has done so far is make veggie bacon. All right, so we are 0 for Skylar. So far, I don't see any good reason to be cursing her name. So freaking Walter takes his son to school. It's the least he can do. And then he goes to class and teaches his class about chemicals. There's a smart alecky guy who's talking to a girl, and he's like upset because he's not being treated with respect. So he looks at the kid and he shows them stuff, and turns out not only does he work as a chemistry teacher, he also works at a freaking car wash, and there's this guy who owns it. We're going to call him Eyebrows. He's a gambler, or he does something with money, and he always taking money out of the cash register. And he's always making Walter White, like, hand clean people's stuff. And turns out one of the cars is one of the students who were getting busted in class. And they're talking about, oh my gosh, it's Mr. White. Look, like, bruh, like, do you know how much any professor makes anywhere? You would not be laughing. You'd be like, I'm so sorry. Let me give you a tip. Like, you would really feel empathy for him. I personally don't feel empathy for Walter White at all, but just make that person anybody else. Make him goddamn Piglet, and I feel sorry for him because, Piglet would definitely be a chemist teacher, and he would definitely be at the he would either be at the docks or he'd be freaking at the car wash place. But he's literally washing this kid's car, and they're like taking pictures of him and being mean. Like, I don't really understand about that. I really don't know why. If I saw a teacher somewhere, I'd be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you're here. Nice to see you. Literally. But then, for some reason, like, this shows there's a lot of small things. Like, you guys are such idiots. You are such idiots. The people who watched this show and was like, poor Walt, I can't stand Skylar because she made veggie bacon. Literally, you are such fools. And I really do hate you. Because I was coming in here waiting to see someone like Cersei Lannister up in here. Cersei. And even Cersei isn't even as bad as all her whole family. I'm telling you right now. And also, a guy wrote that she had someone else assaulted. So I'm not really dealing with that. I'm not really going to argue about that because that was a guy's choice to do that. There was no reason for that to happen. And people could say, oh, well, that happened in the books, but it was different. Oh, yeah, it was different. Could you say that again, but slower? Thank you. Anyway, there are so many examples of Walter White doing things out of his own personal interest. And then people are going to fall back on the he's got cancer. As of right now, he has no idea he has cancer. As of right now, the second 10 minutes in, he has no idea that he has cancer. He takes the handicap sign from the mirror where what his son had, and he puts it in the compartment. And people are like, oh, well, he doesn't want to say that he's got a disability because he don't. And he don't know he do right now. So that's a good person, right? That just shows like the way he does it. And it shows that he does it specifically. It's just to not show weakness. Like, he does a lot of things in this show to not show weakness. He does it a lot. And then it's kind of like it shows his annoyance with his family, that when he puts it in there, that it doesn't close the way he wants to. And he's just annoyed. He's annoyed by his family. How you annoyed by your family? You make me sick. But anyway, he gets home and then there's a surprise party. And then, oh, horrible, good for nothing Skylar makes a surprise party for this loser scum bum piece of trash who got her pregnant and he's 1 foot in the grave. But she gave him a surprise party. Wow. What a horrible wife, right? What, was there supposed to be strippers there? What? I don't understand. What else could she have done differently that could have made you actually like her? You guys have no excuse. You just hate women. You hate your mom, and you need to go settle that with your mom and leave the whole entire world out of it. How about that? Anyway, so Skylar makes a surprise party for this ungrateful bass, and the whole family's there, everybody and their mom and all that. And Walter is like, yeah, okay, whatever. He's so done with life. He doesn't want to deal with this anymore. And then Skylar goes to his face and says, yeah, you're late. And yes, if you're late, you're late. Like, it is what it is. And just keep that in mind, because this is the first time he's late to something that he's supposed to be at. And he becomes, over time, more and more late. And don't blame it on the cancer. I'm not going to argue with y'all. Every time I say something about Walter, y'all are going to talk about cancer. Y'all are going to talk about this. Y'all are going to talk about that. And I'm not having it. I'm not. I simply will not have it. Like, but she said he's late. And just keep that in mind, because he becomes late a lot. Here we go. The girls are together at the party. And then there's this girl who I thought was Skylar, because she's acting a lot like what you guys said Skylar acts like. But it's not. I'm going to call her Skylar's sister, because she is literally written to be unbearable. I know a man wrote her. A man who has a bone to pick with every woman he sees on this earth. Because she's just so unbearable. She's just so horrible. Like, they're talking about, oh, Skylar, we can't even tell you're pregnant. She's like, oh, actually, Skylar is actually showing a lot. Like, she's just very mean and evil. Like, she's just literally evil. The way she acts is so evil and horrible for no reason. For literally zero reason. And Skylar just, like, laughs it off. And she's like, this is my sister, Marie. And she's like, nice to meet you, even though it's not, because no one wants to deal with that. And then this idiot comes out of his pocket with a Glock or whatever. He is a police officer. He coerces prostitutes into doing whatever he wants. He calls them trash. He calls people who are on drugs garbage. He makes me sick. He is just all around a horrible person. And guess what? He's married to Marie, Skylar's sister. So, of course, two birds of a pea pod together. Okay, that's all I know. So he takes out a freaking gun that he shouldn't be having at a party, and he has this gun and he's talking about, oh, you can hold it, little boy, you can hold it. Like literally, he's just around the men, and he's all like whipping it out and telling Walter, oh, da da da. He took the bullets out and gave it to the guy and to the little boy, but still, it's still disgusting. Like, stop doing that. He's letting everybody put their fingerprints on it. That's so funny. Maybe that'll come back later. As it stands right now, no one thinks Walt is anything but a string bean. He's wearing a freaking sweater. Everybody else is wearing regular clothes. He's wearing a sweater like Mr. Rogers. Everybody thinks he's Mr. Rogers except a chemist. And now the police officer guy, he's just running on his mouth. I really don't care. I'm literally just going to skip past this part. Like, I do not care about this loser scum piece of trash. He basically turns on the freaking TV at someone else's house at someone else's birthday party. Even though it's his brother-in-law, he's still gonna mess with a TV, like, and then he's talking about, oh, here's me busting people up for meth. Look at that. And he's like, we got them. We pulling up. And then he's got this partner that's Hispanic, and he's always being racist to him, and he's always being racist to anyone who's not white, legitimately. And when they are white and they're a woman, he's being misogynistic to them. He's like the worst character on the show. And I think it's funny how Skylar's the one who's the worst character, when so far as I know, she hasn't done anything racist and she hasn't done anything homophobic so far. And like I said, I will tell you what she does, like, if we get further than this, because I'm definitely not going to do a play-by-play of this freaking crap show. But it's not crap because it's bad. It's a good show. It's got me on the edge of my seat. But it's bad because the fact that y'all are so gung-ho for Walter and so hateful towards Skylar, when there's literally 3 people I just told you about who are worse. Freaking Walter himself. So now we get to the infamous scene after that. This girl is on the computer, and I guess she was supposed to stop doing her job. She was supposed to stop doing whatever she did in her life, and she's supposed to put everything, even though she's pregnant, for her husband, Walter White. She's supposed to turn off everything she's doing in her life so she can give him a happy birthday hand job. And it's just like, they are married. How long have they been married? This is just par for the course. You get a hand job, you don't get a hand job. Like, suck it up. So she's giving him a hand job, and this scene goes on for far too long, in my opinion. I love a good hand job scene, but it was just so awkward. And they're sitting there talking about stuff, like what they're going to do the next day. And she's basically talking about, what are you doing? How come you're not getting hard? And then she's just like, oh, well, close your eyes. And I'm like, what? He's not getting hard because y'all are talking about what you're doing tomorrow. What are you talking about? But I'm not even mad about Skylar for that. Like, why would I be mad at her for that? Like, it's just an honest mistake. Like, you trying to give him a hand job and it's not working. Maybe it's because you're not talking dirty. Maybe it's because anything, literally. Like, maybe it's because you didn't do this, that, and the other. Like, I'm not going to tell you how to do a hand job. But what I am going to tell you is y'all are always dragging Skylar. And one thing I did see was, oh, she gives terrible hand jobs. Like, how many times does she give a hand job in this show? Please tell me, because if it's just once, I'm literally gonna smack somebody. Because it's crazy how she's known for a hand job when women are worth more than just what pleasure they can give you, you dirty piece of... So basically, like I said, the scene goes on for far too long. And it, like, you can make a scene like this work. It just can't be, I don't know. Maybe they did it on purpose so that no one would, like, I guess, get horny or something. But it's not very a horny scene at all. It's just, like, very mundane. It's a very mundane hand job. But literally, like, people are upset because, what, she didn't look into his eyes while she gave him a hand job? Literally? Like, what? Like, I'm done talking about the hand job scene. It's over. So, guess what? We're back at the freaking working at the car wash. Oh, yeah. And then the next day after he got a hand job from his wife, he's going to go look at this girl. And then all of a sudden he's going to pass out. I really don't know what that meant. I guess that was the freaking ghost of cancer past, because the moment he sees this girl, this is when he passes out. I don't know. Like, they never explain that. Like, they never explained who that was. Maybe later on in the season when I actually watch the whole thing, like, I'll know what's happened. But they rush him to the hospital, and he's like, this is embarrassing. I'm fine. Please drop me off somewhere. I don't have any insurance. And that's crazy how people on this earth in America, I can't speak for Japan. I can't speak for Korea. I can't speak for none of y'all. I can speak for America. And despite people talking about how we've got the best healthcare system in the world, we do not. We may have the best healthcare, maybe, I have no idea because I haven't been everywhere. But we do not have access to it. When you go to the emergency room via ambulance, that costs you money, $10,000. Like, it's a lot of money. So that's why people are always trying to leave ambulances. That's why people are always trying to escape before the ambulance gets there, because it's literally a threat to charge you. So he basically says, I don't have any insurance, and they're like, okay. He's breathing, and they're looking at his lungs, and he's like, ooh, you need to go to the emergency room, bruh. We cannot just leave you on the side of the street. It's unethical at this point. And right now, they're not telling him anything, which is another thing I hate. They love to not tell you nothing, but they don't want to tell you something, and then it's wrong. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword with that situation. Tell me, but don't tell me something that's not true. But if it's not true, then it's true. But if it's true, then it's not. I don't know. I'm not playing those games. All I know is a lot of people don't want to hear it, but a lot of people do want to hear it. So it's kind of like, whatever. It is what it is. Double-edged sword. Whatever, anyway. So the paramedics are like, yeah, you're going to the emergency room. And they're like, is there anybody you want us to contact? And he's like, God, no. You have a whole family and support. Like, see, this is what annoys me. Males will sit there and be crying because they ain't got no family, and then they be crying when they do got a family. They call their wife, who is keeping them alive and keeping them on their medication because they are a child and they can't keep up with their medication, literal baby. And she's keeping you alive, and you're going to call her a battle axe. You're going to call her the ball and chain. But when you ain't got nobody, you complaining that women have too high standards. Like, it's just incel culture. It just makes me so sick. I can't even think about it. It makes my brain hurt. Literally. But he has no one to call when we know that he's got a loving wife at home, literally, that just gave you a hand job. Freaking scum. You have a piece of trash brother-in-law and a piece of garbage sister-in-law at the very least. You are in an ambulance. How about you freaking call somebody, some goddamn buddy? And yes, I know Skylar is pregnant. And then you're going to say, oh, well, he didn't want to. Actually, he did want to, because in the future, I'm going to let you know that he cares not about what she thinks. And it's not about keeping her out of the loop of this. It's literally keeping the secret because he likes the thrill of the secret. Just like when a dude is cheating with a girl, and then when they finally get together and they finally can be together, he gonna break it off because he liked the thrill of cheating. He didn't want to be with this person. He just liked the fact that it wasn't supposed to be something he was supposed to do. But anyway, we're continuing. They ask him if he's a smoker because they think that he's got something that a smoker would have. But he's a chemist, and he's been around a lot of chemicals, and he's been breathing in a lot of stuff. So that could be the reason why he's got lung cancer. Yep, they figure out that he's got lung cancer, and he doesn't have that long to live. This basically gets dropped on us around the 20-minute mark, 18 to 20-minute mark, and he's sitting there in shock. He is in shock because we hear the doctor talking to him, and he's like telling him all of his options. And he's like, oh, you're not going to have this long. You're not going to have this much. You're not going to have this and that and the other. And he asks, are you listening to me? Because he's like stoned out of his mind, but he's not stoned because he hasn't had any drugs yet. But he's like, do you understand what I've just said to you? You just sitting here like you stuck on stupid. And he's like, I've got lung cancer. It's not operable. I only have a few years or a few months at best. And he's like, I just need to make sure you understand. And he's like, best case scenario with chemo, I live maybe a couple years. I'm very miserable, very sick, without hair, da-da-da-da. And then he's like, yeah. Anyway, I'm turning into Monk now. You've got mustard on your shirt. Like, and if you guys don't know who Monk is, that's wonderful. You know why? Because I did a first taste on Monk as well. So after this video, you could go into the description or go on my page and go to First Tastes, and you will see all the first tastes I've done, included but not limited to Sleepy Hollow and Monk. Those are very good shows that trashed and tanked over time, but you could still watch the first taste and enjoy the first time watching it. Back to Breaking Bad. So the doctor's looking at him like, well, it's an idiot, because he's literally not engaging in the conversation that's had about freaking kissy lung cancer. But so he goes home to his loving wife, Skylar, and she's on the phone with a company for the cards or whatever they have. And turns out Walter used the incorrect card that they're not supposed to use. And I know all about that because there's just certain cards that you just don't use. Even though you've got them, you're not supposed to use them because you have to pay them back. There's a difference between credit and debit and a bank and all that. And when you're an adult, you don't learn that. You just learn it after the people call you and tell you that you're due this amount of money. So we see her on the phone and she tells Walter, hey, I think you used the wrong card because they're charging us. So yeah, can we not do that anymore? And she didn't yell, but I'm just saying that she did it very lovingly. She did it very delicate gloves like. So I really don't know why y'all are arguing with me and are upset that Skylar exists and saying that she's the worst character on the show when she's very nice to Walter and gives him far more grace than he deserves. I'm not arguing with anybody. I will literally not argue with you. I'm not. I simply will not. I saw with my own eyes. You are not going to get me to believe something that I did not see myself. And I refuse to hear anyone talk about, she gets worse. Because I'm telling you right now, people were arguing and being upset from season 1. It's not about the later parts. It's about the season 1. And then they just everything fell through later on. So he's back at the car wash. He's coughing. He hasn't told anyone he's got cancer. He's still wearing his sweater and a shirt underneath. I don't know if anybody really does that. And he's basically over there. Eyebrows asks him, hey, can you open the register? I need some money. And he's like, no, this is a business, you idiot. And then he says, F you and your eyebrows. And that's so hilarious because it's like crazy. He starts flipping things out. He's flipping out because guess what? He's in shock. Seems like he's human after all. He's got human emotions. So he's upset that he freaking has cancer. Way to go, Walt. You actually are a person. Maybe you have a soul. But he freaks out because, of course, he does. And he's lighting matches and feeling sorry for himself outside next to the pool. And that's like literally the scene. Literally. So now he's feeling extra reckless because not only does he have a daughter on the way. It's a spoiler because we don't know in the story it's a daughter yet because they haven't been to the doctor, but not only does he have a child on the way, and he's got a son with cerebral palsy, and they're running out of money, and he has cancer. But now he's going to put his life in even more danger, and he's going to do Ice Cube style, Kevin Hart style, the ride along with his disgusting, neglectful, trash, disgusting piece of garbage, sin dipped in misery, cop piece of trash brother-in-law, and his Hispanic partner who has done nothing wrong and gets treated like trash. So they go to this drug place and they bet on what will be the drug guy. And he's straight up Asian, but he calls him a slur for Hispanic people and says he's Hispanic enough. So, yeah, this guy's scum. And I never heard anyone talk about this guy. I don't even know his name right now. I think his name might be Mike or something stupid. Never trust no Mike. You could trust a Michael. Don't be trusting Mike. Like, don't trust people named Mike. And that goes triple diziple for Mike Tyson. Because for those who don't know, he beat on his wife like she was in the ring. And I'm just going to leave you with that. And despite me hating Logan Paul or Jake Paul or whoever he's fighting, whoever he fought, I don't care. Mike Tyson's still bad. He's still a bad guy. But, so this is future me. I made a mistake. If I call Hank Mike, he's not Mike. There is a Mike that is in Breaking Bad, but he's not until later. And Hank is the brother-in-law. I'm just going to call him wee, but like his name's Hank. His name is not Mike. It's Hank. Don't trust no Hank either. Like, I don't trust Hank Hill. Like, y'all be talking about how Hank Hill so great. He ain't. You want to know my opinion about King of the Hill? I have a King of the Hill video about their reboot or whatever they're trying to do. If King of the Hill could be made today, I explore all of the things that are in King of the Hill. I don't really necessarily go down the line of each episode. I just go down the list of characters and talk about them and discuss them in that video. But if you'd like to know more about my opinion about King of the Hill, you can go on my channel and check out my King of the Hill video. No one says that Mike is bad or whatever this cop guy is for saying slurs and for being a horrible person and for making prostitutes do stuff they don't want to do. No one says anything. They just say, oh, look at this cool cop guy. Look, he's so cool. He's so bald. Look at that. Like, what? Like, what? He's not on the top. He's not on the top. Worst character, most hated character. And he says racial slurs. Like, that's just where the morality of society is today. You're a woman and you say, sweetie, can you come home a little earlier? I'm pregnant and I don't know where you are and I'm worried. Makes you the worst person in the world when there is a whole male sitting there saying racial slurs, forcing prostitutes to do things they don't want to do. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So the whole scene is them busting into this crack house or meth house or something. It's this Asian dude who is cooking up the stuff. They break into his house, literally bust into it. Maybe it's not his house. Maybe it's just the house he's cooking in. But they grab him and arrest him. That's it. Story's over. But oh wait, the people go in. Walter White sees a white kid jump out of this girl's window and she's just straight up naked. Her breasts are out. Like, there's the breasts for the episode if you really wanted to see some breasts. I really wanted to see some penis while he was freaking getting tugged on, but I guess that's not a possibility. Of course not. It's just the breasts. Walter wants to go inside, and they don't think anything of it because they're like, oh, the string bean piece of garbage can't do nothing. We underestimate him entirely. You can stay out here for a second, and then we go in there and let you know. But that's when that white dude comes out of the freaking window, and there's a girl throwing his stuff out for some reason. And he's like, wow, that's interesting. And he was like, oh, wait. I think the reason why he looked at him for so long is because he recognized him. And that's one of his students from a long time ago. And so this white dude, I can't remember his name to save my life. Because he's so much more fun. He's so much funnier than just calling him white dude. We're going to call him not Malcolm in the middle. Not Malcolm. We'll call him not Malcolm because he's kind of looks like he's got the head like Malcolm, but he looks absolutely nothing like Malcolm, okay? So we're just going to call him not Malcolm. So not Malcolm goes to his other crack house and he gets a crowbar or whatever and he's hiding behind the car. He's so funny. He is so amusing. Every time he's on the screen, it's such a fun time. So Walter pulls up and says, I'm alone. You don't need to freaking whip that out because I'm not gonna hurt you. And he's like scared because of course he's scared. He makes drugs and he just saw his partner get whatever. He's like, how'd you find me? And he's like, you're still in our filing system? What do you mean? How? Like, okay, I'm gonna let you know right now, this does not happen in this episode. This is something that happens in later episodes. Skylar eventually figures out it takes It takes a woman who knows nothing about electronics or about drugs or about anything to find this male on the internet. He is literally posting that he's got drugs on the internet. And then he's wondering how people find his house. He's wondering how people find his house. It didn't matter. He could have not have been in the filing system at this school, which I do believe is a lie. Walter lies all the time, constantly. He lies like waterfalls from the sky. So I don't know if he looked in the system or not. However, if you know this male's name, it is very simple and easy because he got his first and last name. He's got his goddamn location. He's got his phone number. He's got his email address. He's got everything under the sun on the internet for Skylar, who knows nothing about the internet, to find him and to threaten him. Yo. And that's just a little something. If you know, you know. And that's all I'm going to talk about. We are going to continue on the pilot instead of talking about later episodes because I'm only going to discuss what is in the pilot. So supposedly, Walter found him using interwebs. He's like, so your aunt owns this place, right? What? He's like, I own it. And he's like, okay, whatever. I don't even care. And he's like, no one's looking for you. And he's like, why are you even here, bro? Get out of my face. He's like, I'm very curious. And he's like, I never expected you to amount to anything. You dirty piece of disgusting scum. I hate you. You were the worst person in my class, and you are still the worst person I've ever met in my life. You are literally selling methamphetamines. You make me sick. For the most part. It didn't go exactly like that, but he basically makes it feel like he's trash. He didn't picture that he would be cooking meth. But he's like, oh, there's a lot of money, right? Like, he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, bruh. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, no. He's like, not a clue. Make me sick. He's like, okay, whatever. Captain Cook. Captain Cook. His name is Captain Cook. Even though the cap is on his car, he knows everything about him because, like I said, his disgusting brother-in-law is a literally so he knows everything there is to know about whoever he needs to figure it out about. And the funniest thing, the most hilarious thing is Skylar didn't even have to go to the or know anything about him in order to find him. Like I'm saying, this bum is scum, not Malcolm, is so dumb. And he's so bad too. He's so gross and bad. He's funny, but he gross and bad. He gross. And he didn't even make top. Skylar's the one who made top. The pregnant woman who did nothing, literally, so far. So far did diddly. That's crazy. So not Malcolm is like, yeah, if you're telling me to stop, it's not going to work. There's too much money in this. I'm not playing this game. But he didn't say that, but he always said that. He's like, I'm not getting right with Jesus. I know you better get off my property, Mr. White. And he's like, I'm not listening to your speeches, but then he listens to his speech. And Walter was basically like, I'm putting the cards on the table. Your partner, Emilio, just got arrested. You have no partner. He's going to prison. So you need a new partner. I think we should do this. Let's go, son. And let's just keep this in mind, right? Let's just keep this in goddamn mind. Okay? Let's keep it in mind. Let's keep it a buck. Let's do everything we can do to make sure we understand the situation that is here. Walter White just found out he was dying from lung cancer that is not operable, which means they cannot remove it. It's going to be in there. It's going to be in there like a Lego for all eternity, unless it somehow dissipates with the actual treatment that will make him sick anyway. He is yet to tell a single person he knows that he is dying from cancer currently. His wife is also looking to be 10 years younger than him and pregnant. He also has a son who has cerebral palsy and no doubt takes medication or has physical therapy or has something that they are putting money into that's aside from going to school. So it just, to me, I'm just thinking, okay, so all that in mind. And then he's talking about, making money. You think that he's making money for his family, right? You think that would be what he's doing with his life, right? You think that? You would really think that, right? You would really, 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 really think that. You would really think that. Walter's going to give you 5 reasons to believe that that's not true. He's going to. But let's continue. So he basically says, you ain't got no partner. Let's partner up. Let's go, son. Because you ain't got none of this stuff. But I know what you need, and we can get this ball rolling and we can start making some candy. How about it? I know chemistry. And he's sitting there like, but I know you like, you know chemistry, but are you an alchemist, son? Are you a freaking wizard, bro? Like, and then he really looks at him for a second like, oh, maybe this can work. And then he's like, nah, that's just the meth talking. He's literally laughing because literally Walter White, like I said, he's basically like the guy that nobody even thinks is going to do anything like that. So he's sitting there laughing in his face. And not Malcolm gets real serious when Walter's like, okay, if we don't do this, then I'm going to turn you in. All right? How about that? How about them apples? We either work together or I turn you in. How are you going to get off the property? Do you really think you, with your freaking cancer-ridden body, is going to fight this dude who's on meth? I don't know, dude. I don't know. You can take your chances. You can. And so the next scene is Skylar and her unbearable sister. They literally put every attribute that a male created and put it in this girl, like even down to the dry hair. Like her hair is so dry. Like they gave her the most strange outfits, like too tight here, too loose there, too short of arms. Like they just made her look so horrible and then made her say the worst things. So a pregnant Skylar who has done nothing but support her family and try to make her husband stay alive as long as possible because he's the one that got her pregnant, and he's trying to leave without her, without the family, trying to leave them in the dust with nothing. So she has to sell stuff in the house. She's selling stuff, and her sister's basically like, oh, you selling all these pieces of garbage. If you sell 10 billion, you'll be rich. Like, she's being very mean, especially for someone who's got burnt, crusty edges. Like, it's crazy. But so she's selling stuff on eBay and whatnot, and she's asking Skylar, oh, how goes the novel? And she doesn't really care. She just wants to be mean. So she's like, yeah, it's not a novel. It's a short story. And they argue about that for a little bit. Like I said, unbearable. A male made this girl's character. I'm telling you right now, because it's literally every aspect they love to talk about is for every woman that they see. Even when she just doesn't speak to him, he's like, oh, I bet she's like this. Like, so she's sitting there drinking alcohol. It looks like in the AM. So that's a little strange, but she's like, I'll read your books to let you know what's good and what's bad. And she's like, do not touch my book. Like, I'm not dealing with that. But she's very nice about it too. Skylar is so nice. She should really be mean to this girl. She's so horrible to her. And then she's like, what's Walt been up to lately? Where's your husband? Do you know where your husband's at? Do you know where your husband's at? He's freaking at a freaking rally right now. Freaking with a hood on. Honestly, you need to get your husband. But literally, also, like, they're sitting there talking, and she basically is like, oh, Walt's going through a midlife crisis, right? And she just basically acts like, oh, she knows everything about her. And she's like, oh, how's the sex with him? And they haven't had sex. It's just understood that they haven't had sex. And that's why she was giving him a hand job. She was basically like trying to yearn for his sexual attention. He just hasn't been giving it to her. So he's at the school. Walter is at the school, and he's taking beakers and steamers and all this stuff out of there on the camera. He's leaving with it on camera, and everything's falling, and beakers are falling, and things are falling, but he's grabbing it all. He's grabbing masks too. Don't forget the masks. He backs up into this meth head's house that's not Malcolm, while he's drinking a beer in the AM, and he brings him all the beakers and stuff. And he's like, you just gonna sit there, or are you gonna freaking goddamn help me, you freaking piece of garbage? So he has 2 beers. He has 2 beers. And I guess the one was supposed to be for Walter, but it's on a freaking bird bath. It's a little crazy. The cinematography of this is so funny. It's the funniest thing in the world. But he's trying to help him understand all this stuff. And he's just so, like, excited about chemistry. It's really nice to see. It's like the one good aspect that Walter has is how he likes chemistry. But he's trying to explain to him what a beaker is and what a flask is. And he's like, oh, I cook in that. He's like, you don't cook in that. You cook in something you can burn. Why would you burn that when that doesn't cook anything. He's like, you're an idiot. This is what you do. This is what you do this. And you didn't learn anything in my class. And he's like, well, you flunked me. He's like, what? Touche. Because if a kid is not learning in your class, like, either you're a bad teacher or something's going on. Like, usually it's not the student's fault. Usually. But I'm not going to put it past them to be just a piece of trash, okay? But they're literally arguing over who's got the best meth stack, like who's got the best way to make meth. And it's very funny. It's very funny. And we get our first homophobic slur from Not Malcolm. So as far as I remember, this is the first one. So that's a warning. He says, oh, I'm not going to dress up like he says that. He says whatever. Like, I'm not going to say it. Like, what? Your mom. Like, I'm not going to say it. Like, but Walter tells him he's got to dress a certain way because these chemicals are toxic. And he's like, I'm not going to dress like, believe what you will, whatever that is to you, honestly. But it's crazy. Like, I never understood calling something gay because it's bad. It just don't make no sense. Like, I literally asked someone, like, what does that mean in high school? Because I'm like, I never understood. Like, if something's bad, just call it bad. Like, I don't know. And the funniest thing is, while they're arguing about this stuff, he's like, anyway, yeah, this stuff's not going to stay here longer than a day. And he's like, what? I thought we were whipping it up here. I thought we were 1738. Hey, I'm like, hey, what's up? Hello, sit your pretty on as you came in the door. I just wanna chill, got a sex up my throat. Married to the money, introduce her to my stove. Like, literally, like, he literally is like, what? I thought we were cooking here. Like, Walter's like, why are we not cooking at your house? This is your house, right? And he's like, why would we cook at my home? I wasn't at my home when they arrested Emilio. What's wrong with you? This is my home. This is where I eat. And it's very funny because Walter doesn't want to do it at his house. Because, of course not. Like, he thinks less of everyone else around him. You don't understand. He wants to take this guy's house and use it to cook meth. And he does not care. So that's another example of him being very selfish. And he's like, well, we need to figure this out. We need to figure out where we're cooking. And he's basically like, well, we'll just do it in a camper. I'm not playing these games. And we'll keep it at your house. So it's basically, you might as well be cooking it in the house anyway. It's on your property. What are you talking about? Like, Walter is so selfish. And you guys are sitting there like he freaking king. Like, it's crazy. So basically, they'll just take the camper out somewhere so that no one knows where they're at. It's a good compromise. It's really not even a compromise. It's just not including anybody's house. Like, that's the thing. Why would y'all do it at anyone's house? Like, whatever. So he's going to buy a camper from his dad or something stupid. I really don't know. I don't care. But what the big thing is in this next scene is Walter gave him some money. It's like $7,000 or whatever, or not even $7,000. He needs like more than that, a lot more than that. And he's like, that's all the money I have in the world. He just took all the money out of the bank. Mind you guys, that Skylar is pregnant right now. So he could get arrested today and they have $0.00. Like, y'all's banking for Walter to be a good man just rests on him actually making money. And so far, he has just taken and not given anything to anyone but heartache and misery and sadness. So Skylar's still pregnant. His son still has crutches and still has stuff that he needs to get done. Medication, physical therapy, whatever he has in his life. And literally, they're having people call their house because they're behind in payments and stuff. So that's where we're at. Yay. That's where we're at. Yeah. And so Not Malcolm is like, so why are you doing this? I don't remember that you were like this in school. And it's like, what do you mean you don't remember? And like, for all we know, our freaking teachers could have been freaking selling meth. Like, we don't know. Like, we don't know our teachers. Like, we only know our teachers as much as we see them at school. Like, they don't know us. Like, y'all act like you know these people. But anyway, he's like, why do you do it? He's like, for money. And I'm like, duh. But like, he's like, yeah, I'm doing it for money. And then he's like, nah, that's not good enough. Why are you really doing it? And then around the 36-minute mark, not Malcolm says, what, around 60, you're just going to break bad? Literally, that's Breaking Bad. He's Breaking Bad. He's just upset because he doesn't understand why he's doing the meth situation. He's like, I'm 50. And he's like, it's weird. And he's like, I don't understand why you're doing this. It's like, if you've gone crazy, you got to let me know, because you're not going to take me down with the ship. Like, I'm not playing this game. And this is someone who is literally currently on meth and drinking constantly. And he literally is like, look, if you're going crazy or you're depressed, do not take me with you, bro. Like, you need to do that on your own. He's like, I'm awake, okay? I don't need you to be upset. I don't need you to be angry. I'm not dealing with this. Just deal with what you got to deal with, and I'll deal with what I got to deal with. Buy the RV, and I'm going to mind my business. I got to go. We'll talk tomorrow. Don't contact me. That's literally what the deal is. So he leaves. And the next scene is Skylar being a good mom again, having a dialogue with her son, who is at the store trying to get some pants. He can't put them on because he has cerebral palsy and he needs assistance. And she's like, do you need help? And of course, the son is going to want the father to help him, I guess, because it's just the whole thing. It's whatever. I'm not going to be upset at the son that he doesn't want his mom to help him, even though freaking Walter said nothing. I didn't even know he was even there. I didn't even know he was even there, because he's just there. Like, he's just this freaking piece of garbage on the floor. Like, Skylar's the only one who cares about if the pants fit, or if he cares about them, or if he wants them. And she's pregnant, by the way. Did I mention she's pregnant? Because the next scene that happens is a little wild to do around a pregnant person, but okay, whatever, this is fine. So there are these boys who are either his age, Walter Jr.'s age, or older. They actually look like adults. I have no idea. But they're laughing at him because he's got cerebral palsy. And so Walter walks out the back. For some reason, he walks out the back and leaves them while they're being accosted by these people and they're being rude and stuff. And Skylar is left to have to help her son emotionally because they're being mean to him. Walter comes back around from the front. Like, I just didn't know this was going to happen. It was just very funny. Walter comes around in the front and he literally beats on these kids/adults. I don't really know. Like, he comes back as a different person and he freaking hits him in the back of the knee, so he falls over, and he hits him, and he's like, oh, do you need help standing up or whatever, basically? And then he cries. Mind you, these people who are laughing at a boy who is getting jeans, who his mom is buying jeans for, left the store with nothing. They had no money. They weren't buying anything. They were just in there to be mean, like, literally. Like, they're literally loitering. And then he's talking about, you're crazy, man. You just wanted to be mean. Just let me be mean and don't hit me. But Skylar's sitting there, like, gasping, clutching her pearls because she's never seen her husband do this. I'm so sorry that Skylar has never seen her husband do this. Therefore, she's clutching her pearls because, like, honestly, what? She's never seen her husband do that. Like, what are you guys actually holding against Skylar? For what reason? I don't know. But she is like, wow, that's my husband, even though she's never seen him do this before. You'd think that would be alarming. But the son's happy because freaking they were being mean to him. And of course he's going to be happy. And I'm happy that he did that. But what I'm not happy about is the fact that y'all are mad at Skylar for this. Y'all are mad at Skylar for his actions. What? So we see the place that the show started in, the little dusty place that looks like freaking the desert. And they have a camper out there, and not Malcolm is out there as well. And so the freaking chemist, who knows nothing about doing drugs or selling drugs or anything, legitimately has a good idea. And I personally feel like he should have just not wore the clothes that he was going to wear home there, because it's in the dirt and dust anyway, and you have to explain why there's freaking desert dirt in your clothes. But he puts them on a hanger, puts them on the outside of the camper and says, these are my good clothes. We're going in the meth lab. I'm not going to put my good clothes in the meth lab. So that's why he's getting naked. If you guys have played GTA, you know that when people are cooking up whatever, they got them naked. And it's mostly to make sure that they're not taking anything. But it's also just so that it doesn't get in the clothes, because you're not supposed to be doing that. And not Malcolm is so funny because not Malcolm's like, are you keeping your underwear on? Because he's literally getting butt naked, except not butt naked, it's underwear naked. And now he's talking about, yeah, I keep my clothes on so we can do this and we'll be fine. And he's like, I'm not going to go home with meth clothes. You dumb. You been dumb. But he gets the idea to take out a camera, the camera that we see Walter talking about where he lives, his whole address where he has a pregnant wife. And like I'm saying, meth people could have found that and found where he lived and killed him and his family. A pregnant wife who has a son who has cerebral palsy, who cannot defend the house. Like, literally, he said his whole address, he said his whole name, and he said his whole family's name. He's so stupid. But for some reason, Skylar's the one that keeps being brought up about how bad she is when she's not putting her family in danger like this. This is crazy. So now Malcolm gets the bright idea to take the camera out that we saw in the first part of the episode and start talking like, what would you do if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Like, literally, it looks like Wonder Years style. He's got that camera out like Wonder Years style. Have y'all seen the Wonder Years? Please get in the comments. Let me know if you've seen the Wonder Years. Because, yeah. Have y'all seen the Black Wonder Years? They canceled that show. Of course they did. Anyway, can't be having something when Don Cheadle is like the voice actor. Like, you can't be having Don Cheadle and expecting to freaking have 3 more seasons. Like, what? And it kind of fell off. I'm not gonna lie. I liked the show. It kind of fell off. I think that it should have been a girl's perspective. It shouldn't have been from a boy's perspective. Like, we already had that. It should have been a girl's perspective. I don't know why we were following this little boy. Should have been a girl. Like, whatever. Y'all are so misogynistic. It kills you. You guys kill art. Like, this is a sidebar. Before I continue. I have to talk about this. There was this bum scum de Liam who was talking about, I don't understand art because I'm sick of seeing art depict violence against women and femmes, literally. And they were like, well, a woman made that. And I'm like, I'm just sick of consuming it. I don't have to consume this art. How about that? And they're like, you don't understand art. I'm not supposed to love art that I don't love. I'm not going to love art that I don't love. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Because what? What are you freaking goddamn talking about? Just because, like, you want to breathe that in does not mean I have to breathe that in. Just because I don't like that. And I might make a clip about that, but I'm not. Because, like, honestly, so many people came to me. I got, like, freaking ratio to no end because you guys hate women so much. Like, just because a woman made something, like, if I made an art piece that depicted assault and it was very bloody and very, like, gory, if you don't want to see that, that's on you, and that's fine. That's fine. And I'm not going to argue you down like, enjoy this art. You better enjoy this art. This is my experience. You better enjoy this. Like, what? If it depicts something that you can't deal with or something that is hard for you to look at, you do not have to consume that art. And you do not have to feel shameful for saying that out loud. And I stand for everyone who doesn't want to continuously deal with assault depicted in art. It is just not what we have to do. Now let's get back to freaking Breaking Bad. So Not Malcolm's got the camera out and he's literally recording old dude kicking up stuff in his underwear. And he's talking about, I can't believe that you've got that camera out. He literally does everything in his power to just be as unbearable as possible. He's spinning around while he's using the mortar and pestle to break up. I have no idea what that is, but they're literally doing stuff. It's funny how Walt's like, oh, this stuff's toxic. But I don't see you wearing no mask right now. And I also don't see you wearing no gloves either. I don't know. It's pink and then it's blue and then it's white and then methanol and then phosphorus. All that stuff happens. And he's sitting there listening to music and he doesn't even care. And he's talking about stop putting in chili powder. He put it in anyway and he blew it up. He's like, I can't believe you just did that. Why, you an idiot. He put chili powder. That's another thing that Not Malcolm does. He puts chili powder in his meth. He's like, he gives it a little kick. I'm like, bruh, this is not freaking MasterChef. Why are you putting seasoning? Like, I don't know. I'm not no meth person, but I feel like if someone who is really a meth person realized that the reason why it's got that kick to it isn't because it's freaking meth, but because it's freaking goddamn like laced with freaking chili powder, I think they'd probably punch him in the throat. But so they get done and then Not Malcolm observes the meth and it just looks like crystals. It literally looks like white crystals. Like, it looks like quartz. And he's talking about, oh, this is straight pure glass. Oh my goodness, this is the best stuff ever. And he's like, oh, you're an artist. You're an alchemist, Mr. White. This is great. And he's like, okay, whatever. It's just basic chemistry. Blah, 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 blah. Like, it's not, his name's Jesse. Okay, his name's Jesse. But I'm going to continuously call him not Malcolm. And I really want you guys to keep doing that everywhere, please. I give you permission to call this male not Malcolm when you refer to this thing. Anyway, he's talking about, let me cook this thing up. Let me cook it up. Let me just sample it. And he's like, nah, we are not going to eat it. We're going to sell it, you bum. And he's like, excuse me, this is not how that works. It's in my face. I'm smelling it. I'm eating it. Walter's like, boy, what now? What are we doing? And he's like, now we got to find a seller. And he's like, no worry. I got you. I know that. And it's like, why are you listening to this bum who was just recording you? And did you get rid of that? Of course you didn't, because in the next scenes to come, we're going to see that camera is still live and visible. So Crazy 8 is the Hispanic guy who, long story short, plot twist, he is an informant for the police. But as of right now, we don't know that. He's in his house, and for some reason, his cousin, Emilio, the one who is Asian, literally was arrested, and he basically says it's not Malcolm's fault when he gets there. He basically is like, I'm gonna let you know that I got somebody to sell to, and he's talking about, oh yeah, that's cool. And then he starts talking about, oh yeah, by the way, Emilio got arrested because of you. And he's like, nah, that wasn't me. I wasn't even there. He literally wasn't. He was there at the scene, but he was literally like having sex. He was not like doing anything. He was not an informant. He's the one that's an informant. But the reason why he even talked to not Malcolm about this is because he was trying to get Emilio to think that it was not Malcolm who turned him in, when turns out, plot twist, later down the line, the next episodes or so, confirm that he was an informant for the police. Guess which police? Guess what? Oh, you'll never guess. Oh, it's in-law. It's in-law. It's him. He's the guy that they're informing to. So, Emilio never knew this. Emilio thought that not Malcolm was the one who called the cops on him, when it was actually Crazy 8. Crazy 8 actually looks at the stuff and he's like, oh my goodness, this is so clear. This is so great. He didn't even eat it, so he doesn't even know what it tastes like. Anyway, literally is like, yeah, you did this to him. So they grab him. They grab him because what's his face? Not Malcolm talks a big game, and he's like, I didn't do that. And if he thinks I'm a snitch, then he needs to say it to my face. And he literally comes down the stairs. So he literally goes to Crazy 8's house, who has this dog. Like, he literally is outnumbered, outmatched. He ain't got no gun, no nothing, no knife, no nothing to protect him from these people. So they grab him, snatch him up. And while Walter is out in the boonies, in the Goonies, in the boonies, wherever, in the Looney Toonies, he's out there about to cook more meth, and he puts his little green apron back on, and then he turns and sees that a car is pulling up. It's Emilio, Crazy 8, and not Malcolm. Not Malcolm tells them everything. Everything. We learn that he knows everything about this man now. But as of right now, he does not tell his hand. He doesn't say anything except, oh, what are you, some kind of nudist? Because he's out there naked. And he basically is like, oh, I like your stone. How much you come work for me? Don't work for this bum. And he's like, how much money you asking for? He's like, that's a lot of money, because he's got literally a bunch of money in a little bag. And he's like, you're out here by yourself, huh? And he's like, asking too many questions. Like, if he really was interested in this situation, he wouldn't be asking no questions. He'd be like, the thing, here's the money, let's do it now. He's asking too many questions. I don't understand, like, why he thought this was a good idea. So this is all not Malcolm's fault. Everything that happens after this is not Malcolm's fault, because he's the one that had to go get the buyer. And this guy, Crazy 8, why would you deal with someone whose name's Crazy? Anyway, Emilio jumps out of the car and is like, wait a minute, that's the guy that was there whenever I got arrested. He's with the DEA. And he's like, nah, I'm not with the DEA. And personally, I would have just said, I was in the back of the car, so I was being arrested. Well, I don't remember if he was in the back or if he was in the front. I think he was in the back, in all honesty. I don't think he was in the front. I think he was in the back, if I'm not mistaken. But I would have said, I was being arrested. What you talking about? Like, I'm a part of y'all. I'm one of y'all. But I wouldn't have said that, because that sounds crazy. But he just, like, kind of doesn't say anything like that helps him. He's like, you a snitch. And they get the guns out, and he's like, run. Literally, He jumps out of the car talking about run. And then I'm telling you right now, like, this guy has zero reflexes. I don't know why he thought he could have fight anybody. I don't know why he thought this was a good idea. Walter is looking around. He tries to get somewhere. He doesn't get anywhere. Freaking not Malcolm eats dirt, falls into the ground. They both have guns on him. Like, literally, they both have guns on them. Like, this is getting crazy. And he's like, kill them both. And he's like, you know what? We ain't gonna kill him. We need to figure out how he cooks this stuff so that we can cook it ourselves. And that's the leverage he has, basically. He calls him an artist, just like the other dude. And he's like, hold on. Please just let me show you, and how can you make it like me? Because he's trying to kill him. He didn't really care. He was like, oh, that was cool, but it's a shame. I'm gonna kill you. He's like, nah, I promise you, I'll teach you. Please don't kill me. That's basically his thing right now. So now they've got not Malcolm in the dirt, tied up, and he busted up his eye. Emilio is freaking kicking him for good measure, and he's smoking. Walter basically tells him to stop smoking in his face because they're both sitting in there watching him work. And before y'all get really sentimental on me with this whole situation, it does go really bad for both of these men at the end of the time. And let me tell you right now that guy just put the lit cigarette outside in dry grass. So you already know what's going to happen. But he basically starts cooking, and he knows what freaking chemicals go with what to make an explosion. So he just creates an explosion and keeps them inside. They freaking shoot the door. They try to escape, but he keeps them in there. And he grabs not Malcolm while they're sitting in there dying, coughing up where the smoke's coming out. He's up against a rock. They got him up against a rock. I guess he fell on it, but it's literally smoking and flaming outside because, like I said, he threw that freaking lit cigarette out in the grass. And he's using his little apron to try to get all that fire from going everywhere when that's just not going to work, son. That's not how the freaking stuff works. He flips him over, and Walter puts a mask on not Malcolm. And we're basically back to where we started in the beginning. He's driving the camper away from the flames so that they don't blow up. And they both have to wear a mask because there are nasty chemicals in there that have knocked both Emilio and Crazy 8 out. They're on the floor. Those are the two people who are on the floor. We now learn there's glass going everywhere. So, like, while they're running around, there's glass. And then there's his clothes flying everywhere with his DNA, bro. And now we're back where he started, where he's got the freaking gun pointed at the road and he's ready to kill whoever pulls up. He's got his identity because he knows that he's going to get shot multiple times. The police are coming. He considers suicide. So what he does is he puts the gun to his face and he tries to kill himself. He puts it under his head and it doesn't go off and he's scared. And then it goes off again after the fact. But that's crazy. It's just like life was supposed to continue for him. But he decides that, oh, wait a minute. We just ran from the fire. This is where the police are going. So the police are going to the fire. That's exactly what's going on. And also, forgot to tell you that they left a mask there. So that's going to come back later. And now, not Malcolm is like, what's going on in there? And he's talking about red phosphorus in the presence of moisture, phosphorus hydride, whatever. Turns out it's a gas that he doesn't really explain what it does, but he throws up immediately after. And then we see that there's no throw up on the floor. So the least they could have did was made it a little wet, but it's nasty that he comes back up and he's got it all over his mouth. It's nasty. He's just, I do believe he's a sociopath. I really do feel like it. Like, they try to, just because he says sorry sometimes, or just because he, like, emulates emotions, I really do feel like something's wrong with him. Like, he really needs to stop. But he's literally like, we got to clean this up. He's got the gun. He almost killed himself. And not Malcolm's looking at him like, I think you have gone crazy, bro. This is insane. Like, after all this, you're talking about we got to clean it up. Like, what have I got myself into? He's sitting there with his drawers out. Like, it's crazy. So he takes the money that Emilio and them were going to give him and he dry cleans it, I guess, in his house so that there's no freaking evidence, I guess. And there's still money in there. He takes it out and he hides it. We know where he hides it later on. So Skylar's in the bed. This is going to be like the second or third time he's been late to the house. And it's late at night. And she's like, where were you? She's asking questions because she's the wife. And literally, you don't get to just go somewhere without telling your wife when you have a son at home. And even if you have no children, like, that is your wife. If you want to go out and come back anytime you want, don't get married. That's not what this life is for. She's like, oh my goodness, what's going on with you? And he's like, I'm fine. Everything's fine. She still does not know he has cancer. And she's like, please tell me, because like the worst thing you could do is shut me out. And she is just like, please, she's begging for him to talk. Just talk. She's not begging for penis. She's not begging for balls. She's literally just asking for him to talk. And he's going to sit there, and because they haven't had sex in a long time, he's going to shut her up by kissing her and rolling her over and freaking clapping them cheeks. And that is exactly how the first episode, season 1, episode 1 of Breaking Bad ends. So there you go. Basically, that's what's going on. That's the first episode of Breaking Bad. So far, I haven't seen anything that warrants Skylar being treated like the way she's treated, the way that you guys treat her. Y'all make me sick. I'm not going to argue with nobody. You guys can argue with your mama. You can argue with your daddy. You can argue with the wee, but I'm not going to argue with you, okay? I'm not going to argue with you. So that was it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Breaking Bad is available on Netflix. I don't know how long it's going to be there. Other than that, you have to buy it. It's a good show that's keeping me at the edge of my seat. Each episode is like an hour or so, give or take. It's not something that is super bingeable, but I always want to watch the next episode. Skylar does not deserve all the hate she gets. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to ride for Skylar. I'm not going to ride for Walt because he's already done so many bad things in my eyes. If you sit there and look at the first episode, the very first episode, I'm talking about nothing else. I'm talking about the very first episode, and tell me that Skylar deserved to be treated poorly. Don't be in my life. I don't want to see you. I don't want to deal with you. You make me sick. I'm so serious. I'm recording this on Juneteenth, so yes, best believe it's Juneteenth. We up in here. I'm so sick of people who ought not be celebrating Juneteenth off on Juneteenth. I don't know what you're doing, but you're definitely not someone who should be off on Juneteenth. You should be going to work. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, share. If you want to let me know what's the next first taste you'd like me to do, please let me know in the comments section. If you'd like to see my other first taste, links will be in the description. I have done Sleepy Hollow. I've done Grimm. I've done Merlin. I've done Monk. Those are just a few of the shows that I really, really enjoy that either were really good the whole way through or were really bad later down the line, but they started out really strong. Don't know which one I'm going to do next. Don't know what video I'm going to do next. Just know that I am streaming on Twitch, the Princess of Darkness _ between all those words. I do stream Apex Legends, and I also stream Minecraft and poker. I play GTA as well, and I do not have a meth lab. I don't think anymore. I think I sold it, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm so done. Don't know when this is going to be out because, like I said, this is being recorded on Juneteenth, so you will know how long I procrastinated to actually make this video by when it actually posts. So yeah, there we go. And justice for Skylar. Can't stand Walt. You make me sick, Walt. Gals before pals. Like,